Hey, Danny here, founder of Songwriters International. Welcome to this video, episode 2 of a 6-episode series where I'm walking you through the entire process to writing a song and then how to go on and actually pitch and monetize your music. So we're going to walk through this entire process. If you've not watched episode 1 already, then it's going to be in the description below so you can actually follow through what we're talking through here. Now in episode 1 we talked about how to actually generate ideas, an endless flow of ideas, which is that allows us to go on and actually write a song. In this episode 2 we're going to be talking about planning, and we're going to be talking about specifically pro way to write a song before you start. What I mean by that is so many songwriters will go to the instruments, the pianos, the guitars, production, they'll maybe start throwing out melodies and all of those things, and they don't really have any clear direction to where they are going. They just are hoping that they're going to get something out the end. If we go about it this way and we plan out the song before we even write it, we're going to have a clear direction. The way that I'll explain it to you is, imagine that you are getting in a car, you want to drive to a destination that you've never been to, you get on your phone, don't you, and you put the maps on, and that'll give you the clear journey that you need to take to get from point A to point B. That's the exact same thing that we're going to be doing here in the songwriting process. So let's jump straight into this. When I start the songwriting process and I have an idea, like I shared with you in episode 1 of this 6-part series, I then go and figure out what is the point of my song. What am I actually trying to deliver? What is the purpose of this song? Why am I writing it? And from this, we give ourselves the first piece of the puzzle. We figure out where we want to take the song. So for example, if we're writing a song and it's all about love, boy meets girl, man meets woman, whatever you want to write about. But for this simple example, right, what is the point of my song? Well, it's that the male has been looking for their lover. Right? They've been looking everywhere, they've not been able to find anybody, they've been heartbroken many a time, and then he finds this woman, makes him happy, and so on, right? We're just giving ourselves a brief overview of what we're actually trying to deliver in the song. Because what happens is, when we don't figure out this stuff, we get stuck with writer's block, our story doesn't really make sense, because we had no clear direction to what we were actually trying to write, and then it confuses the listener, it confuses us, and we don't really have a song that has reached its true potential. The next question I want to ask myself and actually understand before I write is, what do I want the listener, the person who's going to actually take in the song once it's finished, what do I want them to think, feel, or understand by the time they've reached the end of the song? Okay, I want them to understand that this has taken place in the song, so that we can actually go purposely, section by section, delivering that in our song. Again, what happens most of the time, nobody understands this when we're writing the song, and now we're just spitting out anything, we're putting ideas out, we're putting lyrics out that don't really tie back to the center point of the song. What is the point of the song? And now what do we want the listener to think, feel, or understand when they come to the end of that song? And then the final thing that we're going to do after that, after we found out what the point of the song is, after we figured out what the listener is going to feel, think, or understand, we're then going to portion that out into sections. And what I mean by that is we're going to go into the verse. And we're going to say, what does the verse want to say back to what we've been saying? Okay, cool, we're going to say this. And then what are we going to say in the chorus? Let's suppose you just have a verse-chorus structure for simplicity. You're going to figure out what the verse is going to deliver. You're going to figure out what the chorus is going to deliver, so that we know section by section, every turn we take with the song, we have clear direction to where we're going to turn. Now, on the other side of this, you might actually draw yourself a little bit away. You might say the verse is about this, but when you come to actually write it, you might take it slightly somewhere else. That's okay. All this is designed to do is give us a sense of direction, give us a sense of where we are actually going with the song. Because like I say, if you were driving a car, you would do the same thing. You would put your maps in and you figure out where you're going. And if you didn't, you would unfortunately get lost. And in songwriting, we hit writer's block. We get lost in the process. We don't finish songs to their true potential. So if you've watched episode 1, you'll know that one of the ways that I share with you to get ideas is quotes. Okay, there's lots of others, but quotes is a really, really cool way. Now, what I've done for this, I want to give you a real example of me doing this. I found a quote which says, "Don't stay in the same place, go and explore the world." Okay, that's a quote that I read and I thought, okay, that's resonated. I like that as a idea, as a center point of my song. Now I'm going to figure out what is this point of the song? Or what is this song going to be about? What is the point of my song? So the point of the song could be that there's a world outside of the window. There's a world outside of the town that I live in. And if I don't go and explore this, and I don't go and walk new paths, and I don't go and see new things, I'm only going to ever live wondering what if? What if I did do that? What if I did do this? Rather than living my life on social media or on my phone or seeing other people living theirs. It's time for me to grasp it by the hands and go and see what the world has to offer. So what do I want the listener to think, feel, or understand? Well, that the person within the song, okay, let's just say it's me for simplicity, me within the song, that I had the fears. I had fears to go and actually grab the bull by the horns and go and see the world. But despite those fears, despite those uncertainties, I had the courage to go and do it, to go and see the world. And out the other side, it was absolutely amazing. So I want them to understand that there is a world, like I say, outside of where you are, and that you should go and explore the world as it is and go and see what you can actually be. So now I've figured out what the point of my song is, I know what I want the listener to understand, and those two things actually tie together very nicely. Then what I'm going to go and do is actually dissect that into portions. Remember what I say? So I'm taking this quote, I figured out the point of my song, I figured out what the listener's going to understand or feel or think. And now I need to actually portion that out into sections, into what is the verse 1 going to say? What is the chorus going to say? What is verse 2 going to deliver? So verse 1 could be about being stuck in the same routine, seeing the same faces every day, on a Monday to Friday, going to work, living the 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, right? Those things. And going on my phone, scrolling and seeing other people live their lives. That's what verse 1 is going to be all about. Then the chorus is going to be nice and simple. It's going to be the center point of the song. It's going to be what it's all about. That there's a world outside of where I am now and that I need to go and explore, which is essentially what the quote is all about. Verse 2 could be the actual moment of stepping on the plane, right? Given in the ticket, sitting down and actually taking off to the other side of the world, wherever that might be. You might get specific and say where you're going, right? But verse 2 is the action of actually now going. And then we could have a bridge, which is basically saying that the older me in 50 years time is going to thank the younger me for going and getting those memories, for going and seeing the world, so that when we are 60, 70, 80, we look back on those years rather than wishing and hoping that we should have actually gone and done something, that we actually did go on and see the world. And all we are trying to do here with this is direction. We're trying to give ourselves the sense of where to take the song. At what point? What are we saying? What is the point of our song? What's the listener going to understand? What is each section actually delivering for the listener? And what that's going to allow your song to actually do is be progressive. It's going to allow the listener to hear a new part of the story and not feel like they're just being told the same thing again and again and again. Because what I see a lot of the time is, let's say verse 1 in this example was about seeing the same faces, same places, same routine. Then verse 2 is continuing on that and just basically telling the listener something and compounding it more. And unfortunately, that is not a progressive story. It's essentially just repeating the same thing, but perhaps in a slightly different way. So by doing this and by having this on a notepad or a laptop or a phone next to us when we are writing, we can keep referring back to it and giving ourselves direction. Every turn we know where we want to go. And the golden nugget tip I really want to give to you is actually don't go straight away writing the song. So after you've figured out all of those steps, the point, what the listener's going to understand, what each section's going to deliver, I suggest a pro tip here, you do what we call a word palette. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example of this in a second, but it's essentially where we just write down words, okay, with no real thought process, don't overthink it, that relate back to what we are talking about with this song. Okay, so for example, we might put down looking out window. Okay, so we might just say look out window. Okay, we might also say concrete jungle. So for example, that could tie in. Well, we could talk about looking out the window at the concrete jungle and wanting, and maybe we're getting a little bit bored of that. You see how I've come up with that by just putting down words. I've not been overthinking this. So for 5-10 minutes, I don't suggest you do it on a board like this because there's not enough space, but take pen to paper, a laptop, and just put down loads of words. okay, that are associated to the point of your song and what you're trying to deliver. For example, you might just put plane ticket. You might say 100 miles per hour down the tarmac, right? Because that relates back to being on the plane and taking off, right? Taking me high into the sky, right? Whatever you might just want to put down. Don't overthink it. Don't think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to put down that. It's a bit too corny. It doesn't really work. Because what you'll find is that you'll have a load of words like this, and you actually end up piecing them together. But you didn't put yourself in a zone where you were specifically looking for one line, right? You just brain dumped a load of lyrics that associated back to the main point of your song, and now you can start piecing them together. Like I say, you can go, looking out my window at the concrete jungle, and you could talk about the weather. It's raining, and that I've not seen the sun for months, right? Depending where you live. It's a little bit like that in the UK. It's not always sunny, right? But that's how we can go and actually start to generate ideas without putting ourselves in the zone where we've got a guitar and we're looking for that one line, that one lyric. We are giving ourselves inspiration to try and help that process and to actually make a better song at the end. Why does that keep fucking coming up? So now you have the clear steps on how to actually get an idea and then how to go and put it together with a plan and prep. Like I just say to you, I call this the idea and plan and prep. So episode 1, like I say, if you haven't watched that, that's in the description below, which is how to actually find the idea. And then we've talked about here how to take the idea, how to prepare it for writing, how to plan out the song, so that in theory, it should make the songwriting process easier as we go and some of the steps that we can follow. So I hope you've enjoyed this. We've got episode 3 and 4 that are upcoming, or if you're watching this video at the time that they've been released already, they'll all be linked below for you to go and watch. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please consider dropping a subscribe for us here at Songwriters International, and I will see you over on the next video.